أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I'm so happy to be here. I just got back from Las Vegas, actually, San Diego, doing some events out there with Helping Hand, raising money for organizations. So I just came landed, and then drove right to you. So alhamdulillah, I'm excited to be here with you for such a beautiful cause. You know, I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, and when my family moved to Cleveland, Ohio, we lived in a place called the Salvation Army. The Salvation Army is a shelter for women and children. And even while we lived in the shelter, my mother, she would take us to go feed other homeless people. At a very young age, my mother was teaching myself and my siblings that no matter how bad you think you have it, somebody has it worse than you. No matter your situation, no matter your struggle, the medicine for our anger is gratefulness. We have to be grateful for what we have. I'm so excited to be here to raise this awareness for such an amazing thing, because it upsets me when we go to jails and jails look better than the places that we send our children to. When you look at some of these institutions, they look like the Taj Mahal. And then you take and look at some of the schools that our children are in, and it looks terrible. So we have to invest more in the things that we want our children to become. You go into certain schools and you find more police officers than therapists. Are we inspiring our children to become solutions, or we inspire them to become problems? So there's 4 E's that I believe make us who we are. The first E is environment. Let's take a dog for 1 second, okay? I know y'all got dogs, but let's take a dog for 1 second. We're going to take a dog from like where I'm from, which is, it's called the Hood. Have y'all ever heard of the Hood before here in Toledo? Okay. And then we're going to take a dog from the suburbs. Now, Moses, what's up, man? Let's take a dog from the suburbs. His name is Smoochie, okay? He's about this big. He has the new Jordans and sweaters. If he goes missing, $20,000 if you find Smoochie. Smoochie goes, plays with the other dogs in the doggy park. He's very happy. Look, she knows what I'm talking about. But then you take a dog from where I'm from. His name is Optimus Prime, Killer, Brutus. We feed him hot sauce, gunpowder, hot Cheetos. Some of you know what I'm talking about. You can be walking on the other side of the fence. You pose no threat to the property that Rufus is guarding, but yet and still he wants to jump over that fence to get you. The cats are mad. The squirrels, you got to walk around them. The pigeons don't even run away from you anymore. The environment even has an impact on animals. Now imagine the impact that it has on us as human beings. The next E is exposure. How many times have you walked into somebody's house and it smelled terrible? Hopefully I'm not talking about your houses. But when you walk in, everybody else is playing around, the kids is playing, everybody watching TV, relaxing. Why is it that you can smell it, but the people there can't smell it? Why is that? Because they're used to it. And if you stay there long enough, what will happen? You're going to get used to it too. The last 2 E's is education and experiences. I close with this. How many of you have ever seen The Lion King before? Anybody ever seen The Lion King? Yep. No Muslims act like we don't watch TV. So you are the Muslims that watch TV like me, right? Alhamdulillah. I play Fortnite and everything. I know you guys. Simba was next in line to be king. Mufasa tells Simba, this is the land that you will be serving. This is the definition of leadership. The definition of leadership is not how much you can get for yourself. The definition of leadership is how many people are you bringing to success with you. This is the definition of success. by investing in our young people. Because America is investing in our young people, but sometimes not in the way that we would like. So Mufasa was telling Simba, this is the land that you will be serving. But there was an individual who hated Simba more than anybody else. Who was that? Scar. That was Scar, his own uncle. Some of your greatest opposition will come from your own families. And we don't have to look at Lion King to know that. Throughout the Quran, there's many stories of families fighting against one another. Look at the story of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam when he says to his father, Ya Abati, I had a dream. And what did his father say? Ya Bunayya, don't you tell your brothers. This is something for our young people to understand, that some of your greatest opposition will be people who look just like you, people who will be your friends or who you will think is your friends, but will be trying their best to pull you down. So Simba goes and he's kicked out of Pride Rock, and he meets Timon and Pumbaa. Do you know Timon and Pumbaa? Yeah, like you don't know. You know. Timon and Pumbaa. Now you might say Timon and Pumbaa was his friends at first, but they was not. I know, don't get mad at me, but he wasn't. Because they understood the law of the survival of the fittest. Now listen, we the only meat around here. If we don't trick this lion to believe he's something that he's not, then we dead meat. Now you got this big old lion swinging from vines, eating blue bugs, talking about Hakuna Matata. What lion does this? Doesn't happen. So they understood Simba's potential before him. I want to get a little political if I can. And I didn't drive all the way to Toledo not to be completely honest with you. Can I be truthful with you here?
Yes, sir.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Brutal. Allah Akbar. America needs us as Muslims more than ever before.
Allahu Akbar.
And we cannot be in the background when it comes to justice in this country. And as a Muslim, I stand with you. I stand with Palestine. I stand with Burma, the Rohingya Muslims. I stand with the Muslims all around the world. But at the same time, we need for Muslims to stand for Tamir Rice, to stand for Stephon Clark and Sandra Bland. We need for the Muslims here to stand up for justice. How do we expect justice, but we are afraid to stand up for it? And the more that we are afraid, the more they will continue to suppress us. This is not something that is against Islam, but I got to be real with you tonight. Because this is really the first time in this year, after becoming the councilman, alhamdulillah, I've had the opportunity to travel around and really speak to the Muslim community. And let me tell you something, and I know you don't deal with this here, but some of the greatest problems that we face in the Muslim community is racism and sexism. It happens. I know you can't believe it. Some of the highest rates of domestic violence is taking place in the Muslim community. Listen to what Shaitan says, A'udhu Billah, in the Quran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ana khayrun minhu. Khalaqtani min nar, khalaqtahu min teen. I am better than him. I was created from fire. He was created from dirt. The first racist was Shaitan. And to be racist is truly to stand on a satanic foundation. How do we live in a country and not understand the history of which we come from? How do we live and expect as Muslims to grow when we are continuing to suppress the voices of Muslim women across this country? Not you here. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about your cousins and them. If you know what I'm talking about. That suppress our sisters. Where would the Prophet ﷺ be without Khadijah? The first arms that he ran to was to his wife, who spoke life into him. Sisters, this is why your words are so powerful. We don't need no more Nicki Minaj's. I know y'all don't know Nicki Minaj's, but Cardi B, I know you don't have no idea what I'm talking about. Some of the brothers are like, Cardi B, what is this? When you have Khadijah, you don't need that. When you have Khadijah, you don't need that example. So look at what Khadijah says to the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You're not going crazy. You take care of your guests. You take care of the orphan. It was Khadijah who accepted him first. We have to make sure that we are uplifting our women and not allowing their voices to be suppressed. Because in doing that, our community will never grow. Who was a greater person when it comes to hadith than Aisha radiallahu anha? Our women are important, and sisters, I want to say to you that it's imperative that you speak up and speak out, not just when it comes to closed spaces, but when it comes to the world, because you are the face of Islam. You are the face of Islam. Do not be afraid. Continue to speak up and speak out and be the example that we need for you to be. In closing, Simba meets Rafiki. And Rafiki says, I know your father. Simba says, you mean you knew my father? No, correction, I know your father. And then Mufasa comes out and says, Simba, you have forgotten me. Well, how can I forget you? You're my father. He says, you have forgotten yourself, therefore you have forgotten me. As Muslims, if we do not stand together in this country, we are doomed. And I don't care where you come from. I don't care what your language is. All of us believe in La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And no matter where you come from, and no matter what your businesses are, no matter what you're dealing with, because every last person in here got some issues. And if you say you don't, then lying is your issue. And you need to work on it. We all got problems. But we have to work together if we're going to achieve the goal. So Simba goes back to Pride Rock and becomes the leader that the world needs. The reason why I ran for office and ran for city council is because I felt that speeches weren't sufficient to change the trajectory of our community. And as Muslims, we have to be involved in our neighborhood. So that when you go to the people and speak to them, if you're feeding them, they don't care about you being Muslim as long as you're feeding them. As Muslims, we should be on the front line standing up for justice. We should be on the front lines. When people are calling for us, we should be the ones that are there, using our resources, whatever they may be. I'm going to tell you something. I received very little support from the Muslim community. My biggest supporters came from the Jewish community. They raised $75,000 for me out of $80,000. Now you may say this is beautiful. I think it's beautiful too. But it's also disheartening that as Muslims we're not getting more involved in the political process. I know we got some Trump supporters in here, but let me tell you something. That Muslim ban is a political statement. And if we are not involved in politics, people will continue to eat us and put us on the menu. So get involved in politics. Make sure that you are speaking up and speaking out. And more than anything in my closing is always come back to the 5. What that 5 is always come back to those 5 prayers. As my brother was up here speaking, my mother passed away 8 years ago from breast cancer. And she was my bestest friend in the world. And as my brother was speaking about mothers, I couldn't help but become emotional because where would I be without my mother? My mother is the reason why the work that I do today is a result of her. Her name was Imani, so inshallah you can make dua for her. She was a phenomenal woman. Anything good that you see in me came from my mother. Anything kind of crazy, I picked that up. Being from New York. You know, just trying to work on myself. Brooklyn, yes, sir. And Cleveland, St. Clair. So, you know, I got some issues. And we all do. And when we understand that, we'll be successful. I close with this poem. And I have some books out there, and a percentage of those, the books that I'm selling will be going to El Medina Institute for this beautiful youth center that's being built. I close with this. I lived a couple of years longer than Tupac, but still got some years to go before I reach Medgar Evers. I lived some years longer than Emmett Till, but that don't make me feel better. Some years ago before I reach Malcolm and MLK, a couple of years ago before I reach JFK. Some years ago before I reached my mother's death age, a little bit more than that before I reached my grandmother's death stage, but I'm sometimes afraid. Not that I'll die, I'm afraid I won't achieve the goals that I sent to the sky. Tears come from my eyes to water the earth. 33 years ago was my birth and we both cried, me and my mother, because we both hurt. Her from pushing, me from leaving what I knew first. See, you called the dark, but I called the light. You say I was alone, but I was quite all right. I'm a little past the speed limit. Sometimes things are clear, and other times it seems tinted. I'm not an owner, I'm only a tenant. I know it's been some years, but it seems like it's been only a minute. And I don't know if I have a second or a minute until I'm finished. I just know I'm going to enjoy it while I'm in it. And when I return for questions to the one who already knows the answer, but I got questions too, God, why she had to die from cancer? But it's a blessing, at least she died a martyr in heaven now. This is reality, no magic, no Harry Potter. She was a farmer, planted seeds in her garden. The toughness of life never made her heart harden. She was softer than a butterfly. I would cry because she cried. And if I had a choice, I would have died because she died. As you can tell, I'm still in pain. 33 years old, but I'm still the same baby that she raised into a man. My mother's gone, but still here. That's something I'm still trying to understand. If you want to understand my birth, you got to understand my earth. Look closely, you can see my heart beating through my shirt. We must ask ourselves the question, what's worse? Living like a jerk or living with a purpose before you reach the hearse? Some people, they search for guidance in the masjid or the church, reading the Quran or reading the Bible verse, or picking up a pen writing a verse, or picking up a gun starting a verse, or graduating from college being the first, or selling drugs. Survival is the key, even if the means is worse. Young boy, you ain't cursed. Just change your mind. Be careful of your company. Rearrange your time. We all made from the same design. But the difference is how we think and how we grind. So I wake up with a mission. Because soon the date after the birth date and the dash, it won't be missing. So I want to say a thank you to my mother. Because obviously she completed her mission. And I have not, so I'm still in the kitchen cooking up a plan so my folks can eat. Some people bounced, they couldn't take the heat. I was going to leave too, couldn't take the grease. People too slick. I just asked for peace. Got to make a change for my son, daughter, and niece, and nephew, so I stepped through BS. That's what soldiers do. So on my birthday, don't send me no balloons. Just make a prayer for me. I'll be meeting my mother soon. Not right away, but a lot quicker than I would like. But either way it go, it's a hike. My life consists of walking, running, maybe even a bike. But either way it go, I'm going to travel with a mic. I'm going to speak while I can. I'm going to lead till I can't, even if the powers that be don't like. Because I don't dig the powers that be until I dug and found out the powers that be is in we. It's in the treasure chest, in my chest. Another day of life. We are blessed. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bless you. Bless this organization. Strengthen you, protect you, and guide you. And thank you. Thank you. May Allah give us the courage to fight for justice no matter where it is.